I never thought a single night could destroy everything I held dear. My name is Michael, and for 25 beautiful yet fragile years, my wife Emily was my anchor, my best friend, and the love of my life. She had a warm, comforting presence, the way she would make tea for me after a long day, the way she remembered every small anniversary, the way her laughter filled our home like sunlight. We had built a life full of love, a charming house with a blooming garden she cared for, 2 incredible children who grew up watching us as their role models, and countless memories of family trips, holiday celebrations, and quiet nights on the porch talking about our dreams. My father, at 102 years old, was the pillar of our family. He had lived a long, remarkable life, surviving wars, economic hardships, and raising me single-handedly after we lost my mother when I was only 10. Even in his old age, with his frail body, slow movements, and occasional confusion, his eyes still held wisdom and love. He told stories from the past that made us laugh and cry. We knew his time was limited, so we cherished every moment: Sunday lunches, evening walks in the garden, and gentle conversations about life. That stormy night, I was stuck 3 hours away at a work conference when the terrifying call came. The hospital said Dad had collapsed at home and was being rushed to the ER. My heart sank. I felt completely helpless, trapped by my meetings until morning. Then Emily called me immediately. Her voice was calm, loving, and reassuring. "Michael, breathe, honey. I'm leaving the house right now. I'll stay with him the entire night. Don't worry about a thing. I'll hold his hand and make sure he's comfortable. You drive back safely tomorrow. I've got him." She kept sending me updates throughout the night. "He's stable now. I'm sitting right beside him. The doctors are monitoring him closely. He asked about you." Those messages gave me comfort as I paced my hotel room, praying for Dad's well-being. I imagined Emily there, comforting him just like the caring daughter-in-law she had always been. I left at the crack of dawn the next morning and drove through heavy rain, my mind racing with worry, but my heart grateful that Emily was by my father's side. When I finally reached the hospital, soaked and exhausted, I rushed to the nurse's station and asked for my father's room. I mentioned that my wife had been with him all night. The nurse, a kind, middle-aged woman named Rachel, looked at me with a mix of sympathy and hesitation. She gently pulled me aside into a quiet corner, away from the noisy hallway. Then she leaned closer and whispered the words that made my blood run cold. "Sir, I'm truly sorry, but your wife was never here. Your father arrived alone by ambulance. No one stayed with him overnight." I stood there frozen, the world spinning around me. "That can't be right," I whispered, my voice shaking. She showed me the medical records on her tablet. No entry for Emily, not one single mention. My 102-year-old father had spent that long, frightening night completely alone, scared, in pain, surrounded by strangers and beeping machines, while I believed my wife was right there protecting him. That one whispered truth was the beginning of the end of the life I thought I knew. I walked into Dad's room on trembling legs. He looked so small and vulnerable in that hospital bed, wires attached to his thin arms, his chest rising and falling weakly. When he saw me, a faint smile appeared on his wrinkled face. "Michael, you're here. Where's Emily?" I kept waiting for her to come. His innocent, confused words cut deep into my heart. I sat beside him, held his fragile hand, and fought back tears, trying to be strong for the man who had always been strong for me. I stepped out into the hallway and called Emily. She answered after a few rings, sounding a little breathless. "Hey love, I just stepped out for some coffee. How's Dad doing now?" When I told her what the nurse had said, there was a long, heavy pause. Then the excuses began. The ER was extremely busy last night. Maybe they didn't update the records properly. I was in the waiting area most of the time making phone calls. You know how these things are in hospitals. But for the first time, I heard the slight nervousness in her voice that I had never noticed before. The next several days turned into an emotional nightmare. While Dad slowly started to improve with treatment, I couldn't stop thinking about that whisper. Late at night, sitting in the dimly lit hospital lounge, I began checking our phone records, location history, and old messages. What I uncovered, piece by piece, completely shattered my heart and soul. For more than a year, Emily had been secretly involved with a man named Daniel, someone she had known from her previous workplace. The messages were filled with affection, longing, secret plans to meet, and intimate words that belonged only to our marriage. She had used my father's repeated health scares as the perfect cover story. "I'm staying late at the hospital" with Dad became her go-to excuse time and time again. While I was working hard, trusting her completely, and believing in our vows, she was building another life behind my back. The pain was unbearable. I spent hours in the hospital chapel, tears flowing silently down my face, replaying every chapter of our life together. Our beautiful wedding day when she looked at me with pure love and hope. The birth of our first child when we held each other crying happy tears. Family vacations where we laughed until our stomachs hurt. Quiet anniversaries and simple moments of holding hands. How many of those memories were real? How many times had she smiled at me while hiding this double life? I felt so broken, so exposed, so utterly foolish for not seeing the signs earlier. The longer absences, the distant looks, the sudden need for personal space. Our children called regularly to check on Grandpa. I had to pretend that everything was fine, but inside I was falling apart. I barely ate, sleep became almost impossible, and I lost weight rapidly. The betrayal felt like a deep wound that kept bleeding. But what I didn't know during those darkest, loneliest nights was that this overwhelming pain would slowly awaken a quiet strength inside me. The tears slowly turned into determination. I began carefully saving every piece of evidence, screenshots, credit card receipts, call logs showing late-night conversations. I consulted a lawyer in private. The shift from a completely shattered husband to a man seeking truth and justice was slow, painful, and full of inner struggle, but it gave me a new sense of purpose. Until everything changed, the day I decided I could no longer live surrounded by her lies. The confrontation finally came on a quiet, overcast evening after Dad had been discharged and was safely back home with full-time professional care. Emily walked into our living room after another long day out, humming softly as if nothing had changed. I was waiting for her with all the printed evidence neatly arranged on the coffee table like silent proof of her deception. When I played the first voice message from Daniel, his loving words and her soft laughter in response, her face turned pale. She started crying immediately. "Michael, please. It was just a mistake. I felt neglected and lonely. It didn't mean anything." She reached out for my hands, but I stepped back gently, my heart heavy with sadness. "You left my 102-year-old father completely alone in that hospital, scared, confused, and in pain, just so you could be with another man," I said quietly but firmly. "You used the man who raised me, the man who sacrificed everything for our family, as your excuse to break everything we built together." She begged for forgiveness. She cried for hours, talking about our beautiful past, our children, and all the good years. But the trust that had taken 25 years to build was completely destroyed in that 1 year of lies. With the help of a caring and professional lawyer, I filed for divorce. The legal process was emotionally draining and took several months, but justice was served fairly. Emily did not receive the house we had built together or the comfortable lifestyle she had taken for granted. The truth reached our close circle of family and friends. Daniel's own marriage faced serious consequences when the truth came out. Emily eventually moved out one cold morning, carrying only her personal belongings and the heavy burden of her choices. In the following months, I focused completely on healing and taking care of Dad. He lived his remaining time peacefully, surrounded by real love and attention. In his final gentle days, he held my hand tightly and whispered with a weak but proud voice, "You did the right thing, my son. True strength is choosing truth even when it hurts the most." Those words became my comfort. Today, I walk through our home with a quieter but healing heart. The pain is still part of my story, but it no longer defines me. I've found peace in small, meaningful things: tending the garden, spending time with my children and grandchildren, and having quiet conversations with my father's memory during evening walks. If there's one deep lesson I want to share from this shattered chapter of my life, it's this: betrayal can break your heart in the most painful ways, especially when it involves the people you love and respect the most. But even in the deepest brokenness, you have a choice to remain in darkness or rise stronger, wiser, and with greater respect for yourself. Trust is one of the most precious gifts we give. When it is destroyed so cruelly, you owe it to yourself to choose honesty, healing, and a new beginning. You deserve real love, the kind that is honest, loyal, and pure. Thank you for walking with me through this emotional journey. If you have ever experienced betrayal from someone you loved deeply, please know that you are not alone. Healing is possible, and the light will return.